Who could forget the scenes from Middlebury College earlier this month? Remember this? Students shouting at sociologist Charles Murray, a demonstration that ended violently outside, sending one professor to the hospital. But Murray has continued to speak, or at least try to speak, and tonight he's scheduled to do so at Notre Dame despite threats from protesters. One person who will be at the event and is part of the group that invited him to campus is campus reform correspondent and Notre Dame senior Katie Hardiman. She joins us right now live from Chicago. Kate, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Okay, why did you want this guy to come to Notre Dame and talk?
So Charles Murray is actually speaking to our constitutional law and politics class and was invited by our professor, Philip Munoz. We just read his book, Coming Apart, for our class section on inequality, and actually read it in conjunction with left-leaning thinker Robert Putnam, who wrote Our Kids, the American Dream in Crisis. So the point of this class is to examine divisive issues by looking at thinkers from both the right and the left. So it's unfortunate that students have promised to protest this event.
Okay, and you've seen the video from various colleges that they shouted him down. He had to get hauled out. They took him to another venue at that particular college we just showed. Then somebody got hurt in their car on the way out. What's going on some of these campuses?
It's very upsetting to see all of this happening, and the irony is that protests don't usually happen on Notre Dame's campus, so this is really an anomaly. And I think that the majority of Notre Dame students are committed to free speech and open dialogue on campus, and that these protests are being driven by a very vocal minority who seek to disrupt the event. But this really is part of a larger trend of students who want to shut down ideas that they find disagreeable. But the irony is that tolerance is really the watchword on campuses these days, yet only certain ideas are apparently worthy of being tolerated.
You know, I'm glad you said that, Kate. So many people look to Notre Dame as a paragon of virtue, and yet here you've got this instance where you've got these protesters who are threatening to show up tonight and disrupt things. Who are these people?
So we're really not sure. We know that there's a protest planned by the college Democrats and then potentially a few other groups. But we don't really know what form the protests will take, and we only hope that they will be peaceful and not disrupt the ideas, because we who are organizing the event think it's really important for the ideas to actually be heard before they can be debated.
Right. You know, unfortunately, on a number of campuses, Kate, and you know this firsthand, for a lot of the intolerant left, it's either my way or the highway. And it seems like we're at a tipping point on some campuses where, regarding free speech, it could go either way.
I absolutely agree. And it's really sad for me to see, because I think when a lot of these students go out into the real world, they're going to be really disappointed when they're not able to be the most vocal dissenters and shut down speech with which they disagree. And I think that could be a real wake-up call for some people. But I just hope that we can keep our campuses open to dialogue and expression. Because
if you can't hear both sides on a college campus, where can you hear it? Interesting stuff. We'll be watching to see what happens tonight. Kate, thank you very much for joining us today from Chicago.
Thank you so much. All right.